Download my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. It's 4 core exercises that you need to focus on in order to reach the highest level of mastery. And then I'm going to give you the 3 sub-skills of legato. Once you master these 3 little skills, then the overall skill of playing very fast runs using hammer-ons and pull-offs will be very easy. So go sign up right now and get immediate access for free. See you in the course. In this video, I'm going to give you the process of making sure that you never run out of licks again. And this is a completely different path, really, because when I started out, I learned licks because that was the fastest way to sounding like something, right? So you learn a little piece of the solo, which is really what a lick is. You take out just a little phrase there, a little sentence, a musical sentence that somebody played, right? And then you learn that. You play it over and over and over again. And then after, 1 or 2 weeks, maybe a month, 2 months. Don't know if that was the same thing, but then you sound like you have it under control because that's real music. It's got bending, it's got, it's got vibrato, it's got a cool little combination of notes. Right? And so all that is in there, like a little package that you can learn and then sound like real music. But that's the cool thing about learning licks, is that it teaches you these little, how you combine stuff. It's a little study, actually, of what another person did. Instead of taking a whole solo, which can take you a long time to learn, you take little pieces that you really, really like, and then you can study exactly how is he bending, why is he bending, what's that interval. And then you can start designing your own little licks based on that. And so licks are a really cool thing. But what they don't teach you is how to produce music on the spot, because that's a completely different process. Of course, you can learn a lot of licks. You can learn a ton of licks. But what you really end up with is you become kind of a person who can put together pieces of a puzzle. And you can put them together in different ways, and that makes up a different puzzle each time. But pretty soon, it's going to seem like the same thing all the time, right? Because it's the same pieces that you are using each time you are creating a new image or new solo, because it's based on the same basic, simple building blocks. And so you feel that, right? You feel that, this is not original, I played this already. And so you feel that, I'm running out of stuff to play, which is really, in my perspective, and please don't take this the wrong way, that is really a low-level challenge. Because what you really want to do in order to break completely free of that is to say licks are a cool little study in how another person put together stuff, right? And that's what it is. But to base your improvisation on that, or your solos on that, is not so cool an idea, because you're basically just, playing the same solo over and over again in different ways. The way to really break free of that is to learn sequences. And let's just first define what is a sequence compared to a lick. A lick is, as we said, a little piece of a solo. It has bending, vibrato, all kinds of stuff. It might even contain multiple... It might contain several sequences within it. A sequence is basically a little melody that repeats itself through the scale. A sequence of notes that you then move along the scale. So let's say you have, just to explain this, 3 notes just going up, right? You have a starting note, and then you go 3 notes up the scale. And That's your basic little sequence of notes. And then you move that up the scale. So you play it from the root note first, then you take the second note of the scale, and then you play the same sequence of notes, but now the notes are different, right? It's different notes from the same scale. And then you move it up one step again, and then you play it up there. And that's a sequence. That's not a lick. And this little sequence I just played doesn't belong to anyone. It isn't flavored. It's not like, oh, that's totally this and this player. No, it's just a mathematical little process of taking 3 notes, right, up the scale. So it's not really interesting yet. Let's do another sequence. Let's say you take 2 notes down, right? That's all you do. That's your sequence of notes. And then you take that little sequence of notes up to the next step. So now I began on the second note of the C minor scale. Then I go to the third note of the C minor scale and play 2 notes down. Then I go to the fourth note of the C minor scale and play 2 notes down. And then I go to the right? So I go, right? So that's another sequence. I could do the opposite, go up 2 notes and then go back. Same thing all the way. And still, this is not somebody's little melody. This is just a mathematical little, thing that goes on. But let's combine it. Let's make music now, because now we have 2 sequences. So what if I go, and then that was the first sequence, right? But I only play that twice. Let me play that other, just twice. So I could go, right? Now we have something that sounds a little bit more complex. And, I could go, I could combine that with rhythm, so it's not just da 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 da, but I put rhythm in there, so I go, I can play bending and vibrato. Right? Play those 2 sequences there. So by learning sequences, what I'm really doing is I'm teaching my fingers to move in different ways. And once I've practiced that to the level of mastery, they just absolutely know how to move in different ways. And so you create a base for your creativity. And you create flexibility in your hands and in your mind, so now you can go. That sounds a bit classical, but it could be. It's everything that I play is based on sequences. And the process is really learning the sequences, mastering them, and then combining them on the fretboard. And then what happens is you start associating, which we're going to talk about in another video. You start putting them together in the string of associations that then becomes talking music, that then becomes. And then suddenly you cannot run out of licks because you don't have licks. You don't have little pre-composed little bits and pieces that you put together. You have sequences that are really your basic vocabulary and the ways your fingers the ways in which your fingers can move, and that becomes the basis of what you do. And so instead of having these kind of crude building blocks, which are licks, little pieces of music that you put together, you have 2 notes or 1 note that you put together. So the whole thing becomes much more detailed. You go way down into the fabric of melody, which is basically a combination of systems, of predictable systems and variety. And that's what the human brain likes. It likes to be surprised, You know, like listening to a new song that sounds familiar. That's the hit quality of the song, right? And so once you get to the point of listening to the song so many times that you know exactly what comes next, then it's boring because you have no more variety. You only have the system, the well-known stuff. And sequences are the system, and you're combining them is what constitutes the variety. And then you start improvising, and that's really the magical process. And this enables you to actually create music real time. And then you have a playing style, a soloing style, a way of composing that is not based on other people's choices anymore, but are based on your unique preferences down to the bits and bytes of music.